Oh. There we go.
Well, you can see where there's a bit of a conundrum here, I would imagine.
Yes, sir.
I ain't rightly sure why she would say that if that wasn't true, unless there was some weird ass definition of affair to her that I don't know about. That's maybe lost in the translation between American talk and native language. I don't know. But what I do know is that the chief is not a happy man right now. And that worries me for a lot of reasons, one of which is the safety of one of the doctors of the state, and one of which is the safety of one of my rangers.
Yes, sir. You know.
And anyone else that gets involved in this.
Right. Because, I mean, I don't know these fellers that are riding with you that well.
Yes, sir.
But I would imagine that if need be, they would pull guns for you in a heartbeat.
My rangers would give their life to protect anybody.
Which is a good thing, an admirable trait, under almost every circumstance, aside from this one.
That it is. Governor, I wish I knew what the best course of action would be. You know, I will certainly respect Mateo's request that I not be on Blackfoot properties.
Mm-hmm. That was the main thing that concerned me, is I did not know if you knew that or not. I don't know if he actually even means that or not, or if he was just saying that and, you know, how a friend comes up to another friend pissed off and kind of vents everything. I don't know if he was doing that and that was part of it, but I'd rather not take the chance.
I would rather you err on the side of caution and give him space
For sure.
before trying to have a conversation with the gentleman.
Well, then I believe the best course of action would be that I ask if you would be kind enough to pass a message to him.
I have very much intention on having a meet up with him more than likely tomorrow. Because I told him that he needed to swing by the ranch and we'd have a drink. So,
If you wouldn't mind, Governor, just ask Mateo if he would be willing. And I understand if, right now he is mad. I don't blame the man one bit.
mm-hmm.
If you would just ask the man if he would be willing to name a place and a time that we could sit down and have a conversation.
I can definitely ask him.
And if he would feel better having you present, by all means, I have no issue in the world with that. I've got nothing to hide from you, from him, or anybody else.
For the sake of just how these cards have fallen, and the fact that this could be a matter that regulates into some turmoil within the state, I would like to be there.
Yes, sir.
I don't need to talk. I don't even need to listen to what you guys are saying, but I would like to be present so I can keep a scope of the situation.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, as far as you being there for the conversation, you know I have no opposition to that.
I have my doubts that either of you do. I would consider you a friend, and I know that he is one of my friends. He has been since long before he took up any tribal duties.
Yes, sir.
And
The
you
time.
have been pretty much since about the time I met you.
Yes,
So,
that is
you know,
true.
I don't want to see any harm come to neither of you, nor anybody around either of you. So,
You know, the last thing that Guy told me is when we were really able to talk was standing outside of Valentine. And Governor, we weren't even standing as close as you and the Chief Justice are.
mm-hmm.
She told me that she had told Natayo of her past, and that she knew me from all those years ago. And she told me that Natayo said she needed to find her path.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, since she was the doctor that came with us while I was performing the trials on Bill, she did make a comment when we were all standing in Fort Mercer about her former husband. Said that with Bill and Mr. Reed standing right there. I don't know if she paid any attention to the look on my face, but I was rather confused when she said that.
Yeah. Whenever I was down there, I was actually at the Blackfoot Reservation right before I found out about all this, and everything actually seemed really decent there, and there wasn't really any sign of any kind of turmoil or anything along those lines. And then from, again, this is just what Barker told me, and I really have no reason to doubt what he said, is that Guy waited for us to leave, which, again, that's their business to talk about, not necessarily in front of a state representative and a federal judge.
Yes, sir.
But he seemed to think that there was something more to that, the waiting around. And, well, what I gathered out of it is that he was about 2 steps away from doing something that he would have probably regretted deeply. And he told the council, which I'm guessing was Spider and, I don't remember the gal's name off the top of my head. He was talking about 90 miles a minute. He was pretty upset, and said that he left Guy's fate up to them as far as what was going on with the tribe. So I don't know what's going on there. All that I know is that's what he is under the impression of. And this is kind of the situation that we're in at the moment. And I am very glad that I got a hold of you to let you know about the reservation before you had went down there again.
Yes, sir.
Because I definitely would not have liked to have seen anything happen to you down there because you didn't know that you weren't supposed to be there.
Yes, sir. I do appreciate that, because the last thing I'd ever want is Natayo and myself pulling arms on each other.
I wouldn't imagine that that'd be anything that either of you would have particularly enjoyed. Um,
Natalia was my chief deputy when I was the sheriff of West Elizabeth.
I know, and I know you spoke highly of him, and vice versa.
And, I supported him in pursuing the lands that he did for the treaty and wanting him to go and speak with you about that. Because Natalia was a good man.
Yep.
This Governor very well is my fault. Part of me wanted to tell Natalia, but being his friend, I couldn't find it in myself to potentially break his heart or make him think ill of Guy or myself.
This whole situation's really came to a fast boil. That pot was overflowing a little more than I thought it might have been with something like this. Then again, it is a man's wife at the end of the day.
Oh, Natalia has every right to be angry, upset. I mean, hell. Surprised the man hadn't wanted to put a damn tomahawk in my head.
I think honestly the only reason that hasn't happened is because of our treaty. To be quite honest.
From the way he was talking, there's I think that's probably why you were banned from the reservation rather than not, because it would have been just as easy for him to let you wander on there. So,
And telling you, I'm sure he realized that you would have informed me of it.
that's kind of what I'm gathering out of it, to be quite honest.
Yes, sir.
He knows that I've always been a fairly level-headed man with most things, and he knows that I try to rationalize things the best I can and try to make peace with people in conflict as best I can. And that is especially true when it's a couple of friends of mine, and it's even more especially true whenever there's a lot of people's well-being that could possibly be at stake.
Yes, sir.
I know that whatever may or may not be going on between you and Guy, that I don't think that you in any way would have intentionally put any malice on any of the citizens of this state. So I don't believe that that was ever a thought that would have crossed your mind.
No, sir.
So I think my next step is I'm going to talk to him now that I know that you know to keep your distance from there. And it honestly might not be a bad idea to have your boys stay a little bit away from there too, just until there's a bit of a cooling down. And I am going to try to have a meeting with him. First off, friend to friend, and then second off, governor of the state to the chief of the tribe. And see if I can get a better lay of the land as far as where he's actually feeling now that he's had a little bit of time to think. And then see if I can convince him to have a meeting with you so that you guys can iron out exactly what the hell is going on. One thing I would like to ask of you is minimal ride-alongs for the doctor for the time being.
Yes, sir.
Just to, like I said, I ain't trying to keep you apart on your personal time. That's your business. But if you're out doing a patrol or something, unless she's needed there, it might be better if she ain't there for a little while, at least.
This was something we had enforced previously because we had sheriffs taking their girlfriends and their husbands and their wives with them on ride-alongs, and It's just not appropriate.
That is very true.
People are putting civilians in danger at that point.
And again, it ain't that I figured that you would be doing any of that intentionally. That's just kind of where the cards are falling at this point.
Yes, sir. Oh, I completely understand, and I will put out a memo to all my rangers and my recruits that unless they are needed to escort somebody to a location, then they are to not allow them to ride along under any circumstance.
Yeah, especially where you guys patrol at, because there's always a very, very good chance that a bear could pop out at any point, a wolf could pop out at any point, and that we're down a doctor that we can't really afford to be down right now.
Yes, sir.
Considering she's one of the few that's around the state right now, she doesn't really need to be going on ride-alongs.
Well, that is also true, and she also has some skills with the herbalism that we just can't afford to have put down right now. Now,
Yes.
the other thing that goes along with all of this is this whole Comanche issue.
Yes, sir.
Clearly, I want you personally, not necessarily the Rangers, but you personally to kind of keep a distance from that for the time being until we find out a little bit more.
Yes.
We need to figure out if this is actually a tribe of Comanches, a lone Comanche, a branch off part of a tribe that split off to go and do whatever they're going to do. Because from what I gathered, there was some chaos going on down at Valentine, and then it was noticed that Guy and you were together, and then there was more chaos came along with that. Now, I am not an expert on native habits or anything like that, but I do know that the Comanches really do not like folks like the three of us.
That is true, sir.
So,
Yeah, and the night that Guy and me had our conversation there at old Valentine, I heard what sounded like some glass breaking, like somebody had popped a couple of street lamps, but never saw anybody running around or heard any yelling or gunshots.
well, apparently there was at least one person that got a pretty decent look at this individual. So, we do know for sure that it is a woman,
Okay.
and they are in fact a native. That's really the only thing we know concrete for sure.
On
And
that,
that's aside from that note that was left on the board.
yeah, Guy started to talk about that a little bit, but she stopped and didn't ever really say anything else about it. Have a visit with Mr. Reed.
With Reed?
Yes, sir.
What am I needing to talk with him about? Just kind of what he saw down there?
Yes, sir. Because
Okay.
him and Bill had walked back off towards the doctor's office there, and I told Guy that I was going to get some sleep and that the guys were going to be there in town if she did happen to need an escort somewhere.
Okay.
And then, yeah. Yeah, Governor, if it's in the best interest and the safety of the state, then I'll resign my post.
I ain't asking you to do that, Captain
Nope.
Dyke. Not right now. Just, I wanted to give you the heads up of what I knew, because for one, you deserve that for your safety as an officer of this state. And for two, I like you and I don't want to see you get hurt.
Well, sir,
So,
like I said, regardless of the situation, I don't ever want to pull arms with Natalia.
I
I
think if you give him just some time, you'll both be able to sit down and actually have a conversation.
I very, very much hope that is the case, Chief Justice.
it's no matter where these cards do end up finally laying after the deck's getting done shuffled, it's not just you and it's not just him that's had something to do with this whole rigmarole.
I
So
just
it's
understood all.
definitely clear that you are not at all on the same page that he is in this book. And I don't know how he would have got to the page that he's on without there being some validity to what she said, whether or not she's acted on it. Maybe she's just thinking she's having an affair because she's enjoying spending time with you. I
Yes, sir.
don't know. There's a lot of different ways that you can try to rationalize it, but if a if a man came up to me, or if my wife came up to me and said that she was having an affair, there's one direction that my mind would instantaneously go. And
Blood red with rage.
and that's exactly where I believe Barker's at right now. And like I said, I'm glad that I got to catch up with you before you made your way down there and anything bad happened. So I think that at least for the time being, matters will be at least plateaued there until I can find out a little bit more and maybe get you guys on the same page at least on what the hell's happening. And I I hate getting involved like this because, like I said, it's ultimately you all's personal lives, and I don't like to interject myself too much in that. But
No,
there's
sir.
just a little too much on the other side that could come along with it, and I'd just rather not let things get to that point before I stick my gigantic head into it.
Damn. I just, I feel like I need to have a conversation with Guy and find out exactly what she said.
That would probably be a good idea because there's a very good chance that I might be kind of a go between for a little bit here until you guys are both settled enough to chat with each other. And the more you know, the more that you can let me know so that I can try to put this together and try to make cooler heads prevail in this whole thing.
Yes, sir.
Because ultimately that's what we need to happen is we don't need you and Barker to be the best of friends or even really cordial with each other, but ultimately you're a big part of the patrols in the areas out like even around close to there, and um, I
Damn.
don't I don't want my people banned near from stepping the wrong foot on the wrong side of a line you can't see and then getting shot with an arrow.
Yes, sir. Be
So
another scar to add to my collection.
yeah, if I can help keep that avoided through anything, then I am going to be sure to try to do that.
And that's very much appreciated, Governor. I
Yeah.
just,
Like I said, I definitely don't want you to take this as anything more than trying to keep the peace of the state. I ain't your dad and I ain't your brother. I'm a friend of yours, and I can give you my opinion on anything you would like to know it about, but it ain't my place to tell you if you're doing right or wrong or indifferent on anything in your personal life.
oh no, Governor. I've always always been the way that I am, but you know, the fact of the matter is I was brought up in church, and everybody I ever knew, they got married and had their families. And once you do that, once you make that commitment, it's forever, regardless of the situation, unless one of you dies. My father died and left my mother a widow. Well, I have no doubt that she could have remarried and gone on and had many more years. She decided that she wouldn't, because of the simple fact she had made a promise to my father. I told you many years ago, and I even told her outside the hotel there, Valentine, it's hard to love a lawman, because you never know when our last day might be. And Governor, let's be honest, I wouldn't know how to do anything else. I accepted the fact a long time ago that I will most likely meet my end at the hands of some criminal, especially as I get older. None of us can live forever.
That is true.
One thing I like to tell my boys when I'm training them, is something that I heard a long time ago from my granddad. Something I heard again from Sheriff Cornwall. Heroes live forever, but legends will never die. And he asked me, son, what's the difference between a hero and a legend? And I looked at him and I said, Sheriff, honestly, I couldn't tell you. I mean, heroes usually have done something amazing. They've saved a bunch of folks, or they've gone off and done a true act that nobody else would have ever even considered trying. And he looked back at me and he's like, son, you're right. That is a hero. And all of us can be heroes in some aspect, one way or another. He said, son, the difference between the two, legends never die for the simple fact that people choose to remember them. Always be a good person. Uphold the law. Protect those who can't protect themselves. Stop the bad ones. Comfort the ones who are scared. He said, son, that's the type of things that will turn you into a legend. Because even after you take your last breath in this world, people will still speak your name.
Those were a couple of wise men.
That they were. And Governor, I meant it when I said that I will do whatever it takes to make this right.
Yep. All I need you to do right now is keep yourself safe, keep your boys safe, and just stay away from the Blackfoot for a little while. And let me see if I can do what I do, and that's talk with people.
Yes, sir. like I said, Governor, anything that I need to do, the only single request I would ask is that Natayo have a good enough soul to allow for us to meet and have one conversation. And if he so chooses that he just hates me that bad, I will never be on Blackfoot land for any reason. And I will turn and walk the other way whenever he has business to tend to somewhere else. And if that's not good enough, then I will lay down my badge.
Well, I'm glad to know you'd go that far for things. I don't particularly think that it'll need to go that far. I'd hate to see you turn in your badge. You took well, to be quite honest, a complete failure of an operation with the Rangers and turned it into something that sounds like it's going to be very successful. So, I know that you know what you're doing. I know that you're a good lawman. And that's where my first priority is going to come whenever it makes the decision of whether or not you need to be turning in your badge.
Yes.
So that will be an absolute last resort. And I'll be quite honest with you right now, Mr. Knight. The only reason I would want your badge is if you lied to me right here in this office. And I don't believe you have.
Let me do a little digging, Governor, because especially when I was younger, I kept very detailed journals. And I do believe I know where that journal is. Let me find it, and I'll bring it to you.
All right.
And honestly, Governor, if you believe that it would be of any help or possibly be able to show Natayo the truth in what I've said, you are welcome to give it to him. Let him read it for himself, and we'll go from there. But Governor, to protect my men and to protect this great state, I will do whatever is necessary.
I appreciate that, Silo. I really do. I don't think we're going to have to, I don't think we're going to need to do anything that drastic. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of conversation.
Yes, sir.
And if I'll ask him if he'd like to meet up. If he says no, that doesn't mean I won't ask him again later.
Mm-hmm. And eventually, if he continues to refuse, it will need to be a meeting because we have to discern, how this is going to be handled in a civil way.
Yes, ma'am.
From a state perspective.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see the tribe suffer. There's good people there. They deserve every right to live their lives as a tribe and be happy.
Yes, but there's also good people here that I don't want to get attacked out of bad blood.
Not that I particularly think that Barker is the type of individual to just go after anybody willy-nilly, but we have seen that with tribes in the past, so I have to treat it that way.
I understand, sir.
But
I'm gonna send Guy a letter and tell her that it's best that we not speak.
That's not what we're asking either. All we're asking is that if you're out on your runs, don't take her with you. She doesn't need to be with you. You all can have your own personal lives and relationship if that's what this ends up being. But we're just asking that if you're on the clock doing your job, she doesn't need to be tagging along for now.
Yes.
But we're not asking for you to not speak with her.
Absolutely not. I wouldn't ask that of any man.
Oh,
And
no, and
then
I know y'all aren't asking that, but
given your relationship with her, whether it's just a friendship or something more, if this Comanche is targeting her, we just ask that you personally do not get involved because we know that, you know, passions make people do things impulsively. So your rangers can still handle it. We just do not want you in charge of the investigation.
yeah, from what I was told, I do believe that Miss Runa has started her own investigation.
Yes, she has, because it did happen in Valentine, so she's taken up the reins on it.
And I think...
1 second.
Oh, you're good, Chief Justice. Oh, man.
I know it's a lot. It's been a lot for me to try to take in and process, and I ain't right smack in the middle of it like you, so.
Governor, Mateo is a true friend, a brother. My actions, whether direct or indirect, have caused him pain, and that hurts me more than anything. I think the world of Guy, and I don't want her hurt in this situation either. And this just gets me back to thinking as to why I never said anything to Natalia. I should have.
Yeah.
God, I should have.
You have perfect vision whenever you're looking back at something.
Yes, sir. That is a very true statement.
About all anybody can do is try to make the best out of the situation they can while they're in it. And at the time, you thought you was doing the best of things by keeping it quiet. And looking back, that may not have been the case, but you didn't do what you did out of malice.
No, sir, I didn't. Just to be absolutely honest with you, I didn't believe it was my place.
And I, to be 100% frank with you, would agree with that. But just kind of the way that things have fallen, I can definitely see where you might have a little bit of a regret about not.
Wow. I can't can imagine what in the world she said to him.
I don't know. That's just all I know is whatever was said led him to the impression he's got, and um, based upon the comment that you said that she made, um, that particular relationship is in the past.
I don't know quite how things work in the native cultures, but I would imagine that it wouldn't be much different than ours.
Probably not a whole lot.
And the real sad part is I can't even find out that information because the person that I would go to ask is the one person who truly hates me now.
Like I said, I'm definitely going to be trying to see what I can do with this situation, because something doesn't seem to be jiving right to me. Whether it's just a word, and sometimes that's all that it can take. And I don't know Gee super well, but I've had enough conversations with her to know that she's usually a little bit deadpan in her delivery of certain things. Just very straight to the point. Not a whole lot of emotion to the tone of her voice.
Yes, sir.
And even that in itself, no matter what was said, that could give off a different type of impression.
That is very true.
So I just know what he thinks has happened based upon whatever it is that she said to him after I had left the reservation. Because it was only a couple hours later that I met up with Barker and Valentine, and that's whenever he started basically just kind of spilling his guts.
Well, I'm really glad that he at least reached out and talked to you.
I am too.
You know, when I said that, when I said I should send Yi a letter and tell her best we not talk, it's not what I meant.
I know you got a lot going through your mind at the moment.
I don't think it best that me and her have contact outside of professional reasons.
Well, ultimately, that is up to the two of you to decide on.
Yes, sir.
I mean, whatever it boils down to, it's clear that there's something in her mind with you.
Yes, sir. But we can't have a war start between the state and the Blackfoot.
Speaking from a woman's perspective,
Yes, ma'am.
if you were to cut contact with her like this, you're going to do more harm than good.
Yes, ma'am.
But that is your decision.
Well,
If you gentlemen will excuse me though, I do have to step out.
yes, ma'am, I understand. Thank you for speaking with me. I appreciate it as always.
Absolutely. Travel safe.
Thank you, ma'am. I think probably the best thing right now, Governor, I'll just distance myself a little bit. I've been needing to do some work at the watchtower, and we actually found one that we want to get put back together and operational. I'll spend more time in the mountains.
I don't want you to exile yourself either about this, Silo.
No, but I think spending a couple of days in the mountains might really do me some good anyway.
Well, I'm not going to argue that. I've had to do that a time or two myself over the years.
Usually I'd go out towards Coulter. And, you can set up camp right outside of town real easy, and hunting's usually nice. A good way just to clear the head out a little bit. But that would also give Gee good reason to want to focus on her doctor duties. Because, I mean, honest and truly, they need her right now to focus on that.
Well, that is definitely something we are in need of, and the more that we have people out and about, going out and doing different things, the more that we're going to be needing the doctors. But again, that don't mean that they don't get a life outside of that either.
Yeah. And Governor, honestly, I've only ever known violence and the law. Never been much of a homebody to really even consider taking a wife or anything like that. When them old human urges come a calling, just trip down to the whorehouse.
Yeah. That's what they're there for.
Yes, sir.
And can't knock anybody for it, and can't knock them for making a living. So everybody gets what they want.
Yes, sir. Kind of works out in the end, honestly.
It really does.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And honestly, now that I'm really sitting here thinking about it, I don't think it'd be much advisable to really be around in Lemoyne for a little while, because we're going to be in Tayo's sister and all.
I don't believe that there would be any conflict there.
Yeah, I wouldn't think she would, but couldn't blame the girl for siding with her brother. Hell, if it's my brother, I'd be on his side.
Yeah. I think that Ruta knows the difference between being on somebody's side and being able to do her job too.
Very true.
She might detest somebody, but she can work with them if that's what the situation dictates. I've watched her do it a few different times.
Yeah, I have no doubt.
Not to say that I feel that she detests you, but just saying that I believe that she can handle keeping business as business and personal as personal.
Yes, sir.
I'm fairly certain you can too with this whole situation as well.
Oh, that I can.
But if you do feel that it's best that you personally kind of stay away for a day or two, that's well and fine. But there are definitely patrols down around that way that need to be done. You can send your boys to do it, but I trust your eyes. I know you.
Now that I got Bill through his trials, he can step up and take on some more responsibility. He's still got some learning to do, but for the basics of what we need to get accomplished, being able to tend to himself and take care of others when he finds them lost on the trails, he's ready.
Mm-hmm.
He can handle dealing with folks that are violating the law. And honestly, if things came out rather on the ugly side, then I'd really believe he'd be one that could fill my shoes eventually.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that's talk for quite a ways down the line.
Hopefully, Governor, but we have to protect this great state and all the people within it above everything else. The people have to come first. Despite friendships or commitments, anything. The people have to be our priority.
That is very true.
And even if I wasn't badged, I could still stay out in the wilds and I could still be a ranger. I just wouldn't wear a badge.
That just turned you into Kodiak then.
I could still do what I need to do, but I guess I could not have to worry about upsetting the Chief Justice for not doing paperwork the right way. Find a lawbreaker and sink them into a frozen lake.
Well, I know that there's been a handful of them that's a well-deserving end.
Yes, sir. There's a lot more that we should have found and probably tried to sink them in a damn lake. But
Can't argue that either.
Despite personal feelings, they still deserve their day in court.
Yep. I know quite well how that feeling goes.
Yes, sir.
Once things kind of calm down a little bit, I'll have you out to the ranch and you and I'll sit down and have a drink and I'll tell you a little bit about myself.
Well, hell, maybe if things play out on the ugly side, maybe I'll get lucky and Miss Stella will need another ranch hand.
Well, I have no doubts that you wouldn't have any trouble finding some work. But I don't believe that that's going to be necessary.
Yeah, here's to hoping at least. But we never know how the final hands will play.
That is true.
And honestly, Governor, I feel the worst because I hurt my brother.
Yeah.
One of a handful of outsiders that were ever permitted access to the reservation. And I was one of a handful that Mateo ever referred to as a brother. That hurts me more than anything. I love Guy to death, and Just like I would for anybody else, I'd catch a bullet and take my last breath to give her even one more day.
I'd say I understand how you feel with it, but I'd be lying. I don't. I ain't ever been in a situation like that. I've been in some bad ones, but
Well, I really hope, Governor, that you never find yourself in this situation, or anything even remotely close to it.
you
You're one of
hopefully
the...
not.
Because you know, Governor, you're one of the last of a dying breed of good men.
I do my best to be. I definitely have my shortcomings at times, but I think that can be said about just about anybody.
Yes, sir. I best let you get to your business. I need to get some sleep, and tomorrow I'll ride up where I got my personal items stored at, and I'll dig that journal out and I'll get it to you.
All right. Well, we'll get this all figured out, Silo, one way or the other.
I hope that we do. But we'll do what's necessary. Good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah. We just won't get too far ahead of ourselves with nothing. We'll just take it step by step. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. You ride safe going back out.
We shall try. And if
Go ahead.
If you happen to need me, the damn homing pigeon has actually been pretty good.
Yeah, I still need to get down there and get me one of them.
Yeah, you really should, Governor. It's really good.
I have heard that is quite the handy little pet to have around, so I'm going to have to
It might
do
take
that.
them a little while to find who you're sending a letter to, but they're proving to be pretty handy little bastards. I'll give them that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I have gathered is they'll fly and fly and fly until they just can't fly no more. Then they'll keep on flying.
Just be real careful if you go to send them off under a porch or something, because the little bastard I got, he done knocked himself out on a post a couple of times.
All right, so be sure to go to the open.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Governor.
All right. Well, I know that was a very sudden and very big conversation, but I'm glad that you stuck around for it.
Always. You know me, I'll do what's necessary.
I do know that about you, Silo. I do.
If you get any word, just send for me and I'll come right and meet you wherever I need to, whether it be here, whether it be down to the range or somewhere else.
I will definitely keep you posted on whatever I hear.
I appreciate that. Have a good night, sir.
You too, buddy.